building the Max, the big power desk Max.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Inside the Mental Health. Let me take my glasses off so y'all will recognize me. Hi, I'm Bobby, your host, and sitting next to me is my compadre,
Hey, Bob.
Richard Phelps, who is a connoisseur of music, dance, food, and really good with computers, man. He's a man with computers.
I kept his
Jacob,
computer.
if you ever need to work on your computer, this is the guy that can do it.
Oh, I'm gonna need to soon, man. Mine's getting a little slow.
Jacob, you want to come say hello to everybody?
Yeah.
Lucy, you want to come say hello to everybody while we start the prayer? Mike, you want to come say hello to everybody? Mike Messina.
Rousting the troops.
I'm going to lead y'all in prayer.
Okay.
Father, we come to you with glad tidings for our health, man, for me to be so old and to have such good health, and the great crew I have, Lucy and Richard, and of course Jacob, who is always there to help us. Father, we ask for blessings and knowledge and wisdom in imparting this message to the people out there tonight. We will be talking about a serious matter, loneliness, and we know there's a lot of lonely people out there. So we hope they get some idea on how to deal with their situation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Grab the stray hair there.
Oh,
I do have another quick prayer request for a lady that has something called C. diff, bacteria infection.
yeah.
Her son had it, who's only 6 years old, and he's a champ about doing wheelchair racing at Prairie Elementary. Kudos to you, Caden. And we have other friends going through some difficulties. Too many names to mention. But we are having there's a special event, not this Saturday, but Saturday, May the 25th, Paddle the Extra Mile. It's a pirogue and canoe and kayak, whatever will move in the water event at Cafe 20.3, 1500 General Mouton, right near Beaver Park. Kind of just right off the interstate, kind of on the back end of Beaver Park. We don't know the exact times, but just look up Paddle the Extra Mile. There are 3 companies involved sponsoring. I remember 2 of them. One is CGI Technologies, a big, fantastic data services and programming company. Then you got Pack and Paddle on Pinhook. I don't remember the third one, but Extra Mile could really use your donations because they hold support groups every Friday for Schizophrenia Alliance, actually SARTA, and they're holding our support groups the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays. They have the RAP Wellness Recovery Action Plan. They have the Bridges Support Group, which I didn't realize is still going on from 10 to
Oh, I didn't realize that either.
on a certain day of the week. I'll have to dig that up. But go to their website, just Google the Extra Mile Lafayette, Louisiana, and they'll have an activity newsletter. And today, I believe, is Mental Health Awareness Day. There were some events.
It's a Mental Health Awareness Month.
But they were doing some special events today that neither one of us could make.
Yeah.
Go to NAMI.org to check out all the events around the country that are going on regarding mental health awareness, because quite frankly, we don't have the visibility of some of the big name nonprofits out there for other medical conditions. But the mental illness is a brain disorder, and it shouldn't be treated any differently than any other medical condition or disorder. But unfortunately, folks, it is. And it's going to take more time and more awareness, more publicity and all of us living with a mental health condition. We need to tell our friends, family, our senators, our representatives, our circle of influence on Facebook, anywhere, that it should not be treated any differently than any other condition. And this is what's led to our topic tonight, is about loneliness, because a lot of folks living with a mental health condition are lonely
By
and
themselves.
isolated. So Bob, take it away.
I was just saying, I'm one of them that's, gets lonely a lot. And of course, besides prayer, I would ask to pray for my sister, Lisa Aber, who's going through something. And also for my friend Bert from St. Martinville, who's also going through something. Okay.
And now that we're getting Linda's, there's another Linda Aber, that's been having back pain and a lot of stress. And my son's trying to find work down here, and looks like there could be some leads.
Yeah.
And I've gotten 3 separate little jobs coming up.
Well, good for you, Rich.
Including an interview for peer support specialist. I can't say where it is over the air, but
Yeah.
I'm going to have more work than a 10-iron paper hanger.
Well, that's great.
I'm not complaining.
That's great. That's great. Like Richard said earlier, we'll be talking about loneliness, and that is something that affects every person on the planet at one time or another. Mm-hmm. So let me read the definition. Loneliness may be one of the hardest feelings that someone could experience. It is one of the few feelings that could cause a suicide. But what is loneliness? Okay, ladies and gentlemen. As you may already notice, you may have lots of friends or know lots of people, but still feel that you are all alone in this world or even isolated. I feel like that a lot. What causes loneliness? Okay, you feel like that too sometimes, Richard?
Occasionally, but one thing that's a good antidote is keeping active. I walked, I'd say about 2.5 miles round trip from my house down the new paved road to Office Depot just before Louisiana Avenue, and made the whole trip back in 22 minutes.
Yeah, there's always something to do, like getting out of the house is a good thing, good way. It's almost like if you feel low. This is how I do it. If I feel lonely, and I don't know what to do, like the TV's not doing it for me, watching TV or riding or anything, and I still feel lonely, I might go walk the dog out there.
Oh, yes.
Because when you do something, you defrag your mind of what was affecting you. Nellie Harrington will agree with that,
It's like when you walk through a door to go outside, your whole mind does a shift.
Yeah.
Like a different, what Einstein called a frame of reference.
I didn't know that.
Your mind has gone from inside the room, inside the house, where you've been looking at the 4 walls, about ready to go back crazy. And you go outside and see the sun. Like today, there were birds everywhere. It was not humid.
Yeah.
Now that is something we need more in Louisiana. Because we're subtropical. It feels like you just walked into a steam room sometimes out there.
Yeah.
Especially if you're fixing to mow the yard or rake leaves.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I found myself pulling vines that were 10 feet long.
Wow.
And after I got done with that, I was good old-fashioned tired.
Yeah.
So that's just some ways to combat. The other is have a list of friends. It can be on your cell phone.
That you can talk to.
Texting, Facebook, or just go out somewhere to meet in the park.
Yeah.
We got how many parks here in town?
I'm not sure.
I lose count.
I don't know. We got Robichaud Center. We got Thomas Park. We got Gerard Park. I think we got Beaver Park.
Yeah.
That's 4 parks.
Acadiana Park on Alexander Street on the north side is a nice park. Just don't fall down the ravine when you're walking the trails, but it looks just like you're in the Atchafalaya Basin with these big air vines going way up. I mean, it looks like you're in you almost expect to see a dinosaur going around the corner.
And I'd like to say somebody like somebody that lives alone that we know. Her name is Cherie, and I won't give you her last name, but you know she's younger than me, but she climbs trees. You know, that's something to deal with when you're lonely. You know. You know who I'm
Just
talking
be
about.
careful when you're doing that, because she had a little accident one time.
I know, I remember that.
I got a friend who climbs orange trees, and they got that thorny vine that's growing on them.
Yeah.
Well, all I can say is the oranges and tangerines and satsumas taste incredible. But you got to know what you're doing. I mean, be careful going up those trees,
Yeah.
because you don't want to end up going to the hospital. But
Yeah.
the thing is about loneliness, we're surrounded by these things. I can go into a restaurant and there'll be a bunch of high schoolers or college students, and they're all,
They're all on their
Look at
phones.
this.
Yeah.
whereas you and I are on the set and we're exchanging looks and
Yeah, when you
comments.
talk to a person, there's a chemical change in the body, you know, in the brain, you know, the norepinephrines and the serotonins and the oxytocin start regenerating, and it gives you pleasure and stuff. Unlike looking at a computer or a phone, you know.
Exactly.
You know.
I can remember they did a study on baby monkeys that were separated from their moms at birth.
Yeah.
They had a cloth monkey, and those baby monkeys didn't develop as well. They didn't have social skills like they should have. Everything was slowed down, and then in one set of cages they had no stuffed mama monkey at all. And those little monkeys, they were depressed, sitting in the corner, chewing on their nails. I mean, super depressed.
Yeah, it's a human condition, ladies and gentlemen. God made us in His own image, as in the Bible, and we're meant to get together. We're meant to socialize, and when we do, you know, usually when we do, it feels good, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But loneliness and isolation can be somewhat mitigated if you get out among friends. If you don't have friends, here's another idea. We have 2 support groups for those with mental health issues called Connections Recovery Groups. And the first group that meets in the south end of Lafayette is there by intersection of Ambassador Caffrey and Cully Saloon at Faith Lutheran Church. I don't know if we have a flyer on this that we can put up, but we'll work on that. First and third Sunday
Of the
from
month.
6 to 7:30 p.m. at 301 West Farrell Road. Now that's the first and third Sundays. Second and fourth Tuesdays from 1:15 to 2:15 p.m. near downtown, about 9 blocks south of Borden's Ice Cream Parlor, going east on Jefferson for about 9 blocks. Hang a left on East Taft, and just before you hit Stewart, it's going to be on a diagonal left, and you go through the back parking lot. Again, that's the second and fourth Tuesdays. Now, there's also family to family and those who are friends. That group also meets the first and third Sundays. And those are for friends and family of those living with a mental health condition. Fridays, also at the Extra Mile Activity Center, and that's where the second and fourth Tuesday group meets. Every Friday, there's the SA group for those who have schizophrenia and or related disorders. It's called SARTA. That meets bright and early at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Who's it run by? Sam?
Sandy Dimitrchik.
Dimitrchik. Yeah,
I'm
really
finally
nice
learning how to
girl.
pronounce Ukrainian. And it doesn't matter how many people come. If one just comes, that's cool.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of opportunities here in town.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
Okay. What is loneliness? As you may have already noticed, you may, like I said earlier, you may have lots of friends or know lots of people, but still feel that you're all alone in this world or even isolated. What causes loneliness? The main cause for the feeling of loneliness is the lack of intimate relationships. Yes, you may know lots of people or have many friends, but if your relationships with them is too superficial, or if you never share your emotions with them, then you will feel lonely. That makes sense.
Yes.
Uh,
We're social creatures. We're meant to have human contact,
yes.
shaking hands, crying together, hugging,
Yeah.
all these things that you don't get through texting or staring into a computer screen.
Yeah.
Now, I will text if it's something quick and in a hurry, but that is not my main communication. It's either by phone, where you at least get the inflection.
Yeah.
But again, eyeball to eyeball is the best. That's why I recommend if anybody's going to go see a lawyer or something or an important matter, bring a friend.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
If you feel nervous about going to a support group, bring someone you know or
That
have
you
them
can
bring
trust.
you
Yeah.
that you trust.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. Sharing your emotions and secret with people won't only help you in overcoming loneliness, but it will also help you get closer to your friends. You know, that's why I guess Ed Bowie and the crew at AOC, Jacob White and William and Saeed and Skip and Mary and
Bethany.
Bethany and Boosie and Matt, why they all I think they like this show because this is a transparent show.
Yes.
You know, we talk about when we're feeling bad, we'll talk about it. When we're feeling good, we'll talk about it. You know, and that's one thing that people can do to reach out to each other. This is a tough world the way it's become, ladies and gentlemen, and there people need to start behaving right, I guess.
Well, one thing that I just remembered, there's a group starting pen paling with inmates. If anybody knows more about that, please call into the show at 337-366-8951, extension 2. I'm just not pulling up all the details in my mind, but one of the mental health groups is starting a pen pal program to inmates that are living with a mental health condition. And
Yeah, I've heard that.
that's gotta be one of the toughest places to be in. But folks, unfortunately, because of the overcrowding, lack of beds, someone that's committed a misdemeanor or a felony, they're more likely to get better mental health care in the jailhouse system than sometimes outside.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that way, but the reality, it is.
Yes. Thank you.
So, again, loneliness, you could journal. Like Bob here, how many books have you written now?
I've written 8. We're about ready to put my 9th on the market.
But how many books have you actually got?
I've actually written 13 books, but I have 8 on the market and about ready to put my 9th on the market. And my editor is about ready to start editing my 10th book to put out.
Awesome. What's
Yeah.
the title going to be?
It's going to be Heaven's Warriors Part 2.
Wow.
You read Heaven's Warriors, the first one. Was it one? Oh, don't you think those are good books?
Yes, they are.
Thank you, Richard.
And there's situations in there that similar things have been in the papers about. It's hard to believe it goes on, but about human trafficking, especially of children and teens,
I know.
adults, and that's
some horrible things.
I can't wrap my head around. But those kids, teens, and young adults, they're going to need
A lot of therapy, and
intense
there's
therapy.
also a lot of people in authority who are also doing these heinous things,
Yeah,
But we won't go into
They
that.
broke up a big ring in Belgium a couple of years ago, and then it just dropped out of sight because too many big names came
Yeah,
up. But
of course.
anyway, just to say that these are some of the things you can do to combat loneliness. If anybody in the audience or one of our audience members has anything to add to that, we'd be totally open. Because we're just kind of reading from a list and trying to get ideas.
Yeah.
But I battled that growing up. I had depression. I had seasonal affective disorder because in Seattle it looks like it's going to rain all the time.
Yeah.
You go back crazy. Where's the darn sun? Well, you can only take getting stuck indoors for so long. You can't play outdoors, so what do?
Yeah.
You get depressed.
Of course.
We didn't have computers. We had 45 RPM records, didn't we, Bob?
Yeah.
So what did you do when you got depressed and it just seems like the four walls were closing in?
Well, when I've talked to my friends that I came up with, and they told me when I would get down, they would always try to build me up. I don't remember any of that. I remember I was a very shy and meek kid. That my dad was a pharmacist. He was one of the tough guys that beat the Germans and the Japanese, and had no room for compassion, and he was a very tough guy. So I didn't get anything from him. So I didn't have a father image, no love or anything like that. My mother took care of me, but I guess I felt lonely. Because of the love of my mother, I wasn't that lonely. With going to school, I was shy of girls. All the guys were afraid of the girls. We wanted to talk to the girls, but we were too afraid to. But and it's still like that today. But anyway.
Well,
that's
there's a
how
whole
it
other
is.
discussion on that one.
Yeah, that's a whole different world. But anyway, I don't know how I dealt with it back then. The way I dealt with it back then was to try to find a girlfriend, so
Right.
I wouldn't be as lonely. Of course, there were none there to be had, and today none to be had. But thank God, Mike Fusel, if he's watching, hi Mike. He led me to the Lord 27 years ago, and my life has never been the same. And now, even though I'm dealing with about the worst of all the mental illnesses, or one of the worst, I can have an active life and have a good life, and I can deal with loneliness when it hits me.
Right. You got what they call coping skills.
You hit it right on the nail, Richard. I've got coping skills to deal with loneliness and schizophrenia,
Give us some examples. Now, it may not be the same for everybody else, but go for it.
Okay, last night I was talking to my friend Nellie that lives with Richard. Nellie is a healer, and she's my therapist. I go to her on the bar. She has a biomat. It's an amethyst crystal mat that sends out ultraviolet rays, infrared rays throughout the body for healing. And they made that for the astronauts, NASA made it for the astronauts, I guess, so that when they're in space, their muscles won't atrophy or
And
something.
they also did it for cancer patients. Back in the old days, they had these big, ugly-looking diathermy lamps, but they would get too hot.
Yeah,
Well, this puts out the really long infrared rays, and it can get down to that boundary between the bone and the muscle, and it works.
yeah,
You just want to fall asleep all night on them because you'll sweat too much. But
yeah. But anyway, I go to her and she puts all to keep my skin young and everything. And last night I talked to her and I was feeling kind of down, because I'm one of the people. If you're out there who has never had much love in their lives, but a lot of abuse and rejection, well, I'm your friend, because I've been there, and sometimes it catches up with me. And I called her, and we were talking, and she helped me out, by talking to her.
Good.
So that's one of the ways I was able to deal with loneliness,
Good.
And that's a clue to you out there. If you have a friend of yours, it seems like in the world today, men and women, even though we're highly attracted to each other, we have a hard time of getting along,
Right.
And so there's a lot of loneliness and a lot of broken relationships out there. And if you could find one friend you can talk to, that would be a great boom. And me, to brag on myself, I joined the Freedom Group at Our Savior's Church. David Fontenot and the gang, and we were meeting, and I'm keeping in touch with them. And when I'm feeling bad, I text them.
Awesome.
We're all connected, and they
Awesome.
pray for me. And one thing I would like to say, if like I said earlier, it's a tough world,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to trust anybody. And if you're all alone and have nobody, and you've been burnt so bad, like we all have, and hurt and abused and rejected,
Right.
and you don't trust anybody, and you don't even trust that there's a God, just ask him to show you that he's real. And most certainly, I guarantee you, I'm a walking example of it. I'm a walking miracle, ladies and
Yes, he
gentlemen.
is.
If y'all have watched the show, y'all will understand, I'm only human, make mistakes, but, I'm a walking miracle. And just ask him to show you that he's real, and he will most certainly do that,
Yes.
right, Richard?
Yes, he will. And he's very patient with us stubborn, hard-headed, rebellious, angry people.
Yeah.
And even we get mad at we think God is, or wonder why the other person's got this fancy house and a car and an apparently good marriage. You don't really know what's going on underneath.
No.
And as we are supposedly getting all digitally connected, I'm not against technology. I use magnification on my computer to help me read, but
This is the guy for computers, yeah.
the other hand, you don't want to just hide behind a screen and become an armchair angry person. I see so much of that on Facebook. People get into these, what they used to call a flame war, where they're just attacking either religion or politics or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to get away from all that stuff. Go out to the park, walk your dog, or go swimming, which I love to do.
Yeah, I love the summer. I love the summer.
Get with some friends down the block. Does anybody remember block parties? Ever been to one?
Well, when we were growing up, we hung around the neighbors, if that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
We'd all get out the barbecues and grill up some sausage, some catfish, or whatever you had, or even, I can tell you what I like.
What you like?
Grill some pineapple in that grill, and then some nice ribeyes.
Yeah, I like
or
ribeyes.
some salmon.
Yeah.
We used to do that growing up in the 60s now. We don't have that now, but,
Yeah.
go to a park out here. We got all kinds of stuff going on that I couldn't keep track of. Or another is come down here to AOC, go in the audience with the producer permission and watch how we do a show.
Yeah, anybody's welcome to come find out about our show or to come over here and ask if they could watch it,
And then one day you might end up becoming a member for $35 a year. You could learn how to run these cameras, set up the set, could be an assistant producer, or start your own show. I mean, the sky's the limit here.
Yeah.
I know people who knew nothing about doing any of this high-tech stuff, and look at what Bob's done since 2005.
Yeah.
And we do this every week. I don't know of hardly any shows have been on that long, with the exception of I can't even think of the name of the group right now. Isn't that terrible? But
Yeah.
there are people that have had shows here on 30 years. So,
Yeah, Linda Boudreaux had a show on for 30
Right.
years.
that's a long.
She's in charge of the Extra Mile and Les Bonhomie.
Yes.
Linda's a great little lady.
She has done a lot, and I understand there are monthly consumer meetings. We'll have to bring a calendar from the Extra Mile next time.
Yeah.
That's up to date, because we're already halfway through May.
Yeah.
Does anybody notice the time's been going faster?
I don't know.
I know it has.
Okay,
Keep going, Bob. We got
Okay.
good stuff here.
Another strong cause for feelings of loneliness while being with other people is feeling that you're not welcome. Okay. If you feel that people don't like you, then you won't be able to form intimate relationships with them, and so you will feel lonely when being with them. Okay. Overcoming loneliness. In order to overcome loneliness, you need to share your emotions and life experiences with other people. Try not to spend most of your time alone. If the nature of your work keeps you away from direct contact with people, then try to do your best to see people on your weekends. Okay, here this is a good thing
Okay.
to say. And I would like to say, it'll be tough for people with social phobia, but if let me just read this. By going to public places or social events, you can increase your chances of meeting people and so reduce your loneliness. The following are some practices you should take to overcome loneliness. Like Richard, I don't know, when I'm on TV, I'm not shy, but when I'm in the public, I'm kind of shy,
Yeah.
But you're not shy.
Well, I can remember open mic night
Yeah?
at Atmospheres. You had people coming up to you after you read
Yeah, I know.
that you didn't know.
Yeah.
And another thing, I started going to the Victory Garden, 217 Olivier Street. It's a non-profit. And I met people I'd never seen before. And it was like a small little group. And we were checking out the garden over there, and
Yeah.
which is 9 to noon on Saturdays.
Yeah.
You can go down there and get some food donated if
Yeah.
you get there on time for the list. But I have met the most interesting people there. I met the director, Jen, the assistant director, Brittany. They have board meetings. I don't remember what time they are anymore, but that was a really cool experience to get connected back to the garden, to the earth, and meet people.
Who have the same interests.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get someone from there on our show at some point soon.
Yeah, that's
because
up to you.
I've got some names I'm working on.
Okay.
But just that whole shift, hey, get those hands down that dirt and start putting some plants in there. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and also like what we were talking about earlier about prayer. If you're out there and you are one of the they're intercessor prayers, and I know there's some that watch the show sometimes. I would like y'all to put Karen. We won't say her last name.
Right.
Our friend who has a hernia. We asked for prayers for her.
Yes.
But anyway, let me read some of the ways to overcome, like going to public places or social events. If you go for a daily walk, ask a close friend to join you.
Yes.
One of the very strong factors that help in overcoming loneliness is emotional honesty. Try to be more open with your friends. Tell them about your fears and worries instead of running the usual superficial conversations.
Mm-hmm.
If you're afraid to share your emotions, then you may have a self-confidence problem. Some people think that telling others that they feel down or depressed makes them weak. This is not true. You are not your emotions. If you feel down, then this doesn't mean that you are bad. And if you are depressed, then this doesn't mean that you are inadequate. It just means that you are human. Know that normal human beings have down times just like they have up times. People who claim they are always superior suffer from an inferiority complex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know some people like that?
Well, we knew a comedian, Robin Williams, that had an incredible gift of writing comedy, but to get a point across. But he was depressed, he was lonely, and it was hard to get that message out to people around him.
Yeah.
And you're living in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
So if you know someone that's heavily into a career, but they seem to be depressed a lot, go talk to them. Okay, when they're off of the set or they're not working or whatever, because they are just as human as anybody else. Just because they have their name on a TV show or they've been in movies, they are human beings first. And reach out to someone that you know that's going through that. If you have the slightest question in your mind, but just act natural, okay?
Yeah.
Because it's a tough life out there being in the performing arts or music or whatever, because you have to keep thinking, how can I do better than the next 1,000 people?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. Okay, let's try this.
All right.
This is another way to overcome loneliness.
Okay.
This has been my, what do you call it? This has been my, I forgot to use the term. This has been my kryptonite all my life.
Okay.
One of the most effective ways to overcome loneliness is getting into a relationship. When you get into a relationship, each single aspect of your life will be shared with your partner, and so the feelings of loneliness will disappear. Okay, now the drawback to this, well, one of the drawbacks to this is, I will say this, I don't know if people will like it, but men and women have a hard time getting along with each other. But, there are some married people, thank God, that are still married, and that's a blessing. But anyway,
Yes.
Let me go. The drawback to this solution is that you cannot control the time it happens, as there are lots of other variables involved, like I was talking about. It's pretty beneficial to know how to make someone fall in love with you so that you can use this information to attract others to you. Well, I'm oblivious to that, But you know, if you can get into a relationship, you know, that would be good. You know, me and Richard have a relationship. You know,
We have a friendship.
we have a
yes.
friendship. You know, it goes back years back, and we butt heads like everybody. But me and Lucy have a relationship. Me and my friend Nellie Harrington have a relationship. I have a close relationship with Nellie. You know, and you know, you can't trust everybody, but you know, relationships are good.
Yes, they are, and that's what has glued people together is a true relationship, not just manipulating to use somebody for something you want, because there's a lot of that going on lately.
That's been going on since the beginning of time.
Right, it just seems to be getting worse in degree and sophistication, but at the core, you know, that is the signs of a toxic person, which is a whole nother show. But we all need each other, like in the old Woodstock song. We all gotta love somebody.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which group that was. Jefferson Airplane.
Crosby, Stills, Nash, and
Yeah.
No, Jefferson Airplane.
Jefferson Airplane.
If you need somebody to love or something, Grace Slick saying that.
And the thing is, I had a comment from another musician. He was watching a Woodstock performer, and I can't think of his name all of a sudden, but he had written the song Freedom right there during Woodstock and was singing it with such passion. The whole audience was engaged. Well, he sang the Pharaoh, that song is a Pharaoh song for his last performance. And people were not engaged.
At Woodstock?
No, just recently. He had just turned about 84, 85, and he passed away.
Are you talking about Richie Havens?
Richie Haven, thank you.
Yeah, he was a fantastic artist, man. When I saw him at Woodstock, it blew my mind, man. He sang freedom, you know, freedom, freedom. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. You know, I'm not a great singer.
He was singing it. Well, you got a good memory for lyrics.
Yeah, you know, he was a really great entertainer. My friend Douglas DeMai, when we were in high school, turned me on to Richie Havens.
Come on.
And I became a fan of his, you know, and that's over 50 years ago.
Actually, 50th anniversary of Woodstock will be in Bethel Woods, August 13th and 14th. Now, there won't be too many of the original bands around because a lot of these musicians are in their 80s.
Yeah.
Or late 70s, but the passion, like Joni Mitchell singing From the Fiddle to the Drum on the Dick Cavett show. She's turning around slowly, singing that song. And it's a protest song against war, but it was such intensity, and you don't hear that anymore.
No.
As much as you used to. And I like folk, mild rock music, like our friend Becky Straza, who one day will be on our show,
Yeah.
sings so passionately. And when she sings, they done scans in the brain when a person sings or is listening to music, and the entire brain lights up.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I got something to add to that.
Yeah.
There's, you know, like y'all know, you know, I guess you could call us Jesus freaks. I got my Jesus shirt on, but you know, I read a book by my friend, my therapist, Lynn Orich, who wrote a book,
Yeah.
and in it he talks about speaking in tongues, and you know now with the instruments that technology has invented, you can check out the brain waves of a person and notice activity in the brain when people are reading, when people are singing, when people are talking, when people are meditating. It also shows a certain brain activity, you know. I don't know what it measures or anything, but when people are talking in tongues, it's completely blank. You know,
Interesting. For the
you
speech
can't.
center.
You can't. There's no measurement of the brain when people are talking in tongues, because like I don't know if if y'all would believe me or not, but like I will say that's God's language, and nothing can measure it except the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
I thought I'd add that in.
And even though they have a way now recording some fragments of dreams, dreaming can be therapeutic too. It's like the brain is reassembling itself, like defragging over the night. Some of those dreams can be pretty bizarre. Others, like mine, can look like a science fiction movie sometimes.
Yeah, you have science fiction.
But
thing.
it's like the brain is defragging all the stuff that you do every day. It would fill 100 terabyte hard drive what we see every day and hear and experience.
Yeah.
But our brain has some special functions that we'll talk about another day that make this almost limitless.
Yeah.
But we are human beings. There are so many needs that are not being met because you can feel alone in the city of 7 million.
Yeah.
But if you go to the library, parks, a social event, we have concerts all over the place.
There's activity going on all over Lafayette all the time.
A play, if you can go to a real play at certain venues here in town, like Cité
de Arts, yeah.
There's the sky's the limit. I mean, we have barely tapped into what we have here.
Yeah, like a few years ago, Lafayette was voted in the country as the happiest city in America.
Right.
Lafayette, ladies and gentlemen, is a cool town.
And
How Mike?
It is. Always was.
Huh?
Always was.
Always was, yeah.
And it seems to be a melting pot for a lot of up-and-coming musicians and artists. I haven't seen anything like this even in a larger city like Seattle. There's just more spontaneity here.
Yeah.
I've seen bands come up from nowhere that now have been aired nationally, called The Givers. Every time I've seen them, I'm just getting more and more impressed. And there's a group that plays a lot of the old Woodstock music.
Oh, really?
The Cooties.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much expression out there, it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
We need to get a violinist by the name of Esther Tyree back on our show.
Yeah, she's been on the show, yeah.
She can play an Irish Cajun jig, folks, and also be in a classical symphony orchestra and playing extremely beautiful violin pieces.
Yeah.
That's just one example we're giving out here.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Risha. Another good action that you could take to overcome loneliness is getting involved in some kind of a project that involves teamwork. That's what Lucy has done. Lucy belongs to a Bible study, besides belonging to a church, and besides working. Lucy's on the Grove. That's our
Come on out,
director.
Lucille.
Lucy, come say hello to everybody. Show everybody your pretty face.
Smiling face. She's always got a smile.
Yeah. So Lucy, how's this year turning out for you?
This year has been spectacular. Since my husband died, it's like my life was just dark.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I'd ever outlive it.
Yeah.
And now it's like I've got so many family, I got friends,
Yeah.
I've got God.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got a lot. You
I've
got a
a
lot.
lot.
And look at those big blue eyes, ladies and gentlemen. You got beautiful blue eyes, beautiful teeth, beautiful face.
It's one thing Bob has always said, if you ask God to show yourself.
Yeah.
I did that. I started asking him, and he has shown me it's like in everything I see now, it's like I breathe God. I feel like He's with
That's
me. It's
awesome.
Like, hey, He's saying, I'm not here.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So it's,
It works.
it works.
It
You got a
works.
part-time job,
And a
Lucille?
part-time job, that God gave me because I wasn't even looking for it.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Same here. I
So-
mean, I got a call too. I mean, out of the blue from the LEDA, Lafayette Economic Development Authority job fair.
Yeah.
Hadn't been to one for about 4 years. And next thing I know, I'm getting a follow-up phone call.
Yeah.
Never thought in my wildest dreams.
Yeah.
So you just never know, folks, what life will have in store.
What life has in store for you. You never know. But and like Lucy agrees, like Lucy said about God, and like I said earlier, if you believe, if you have hope, that's one of the things we read in our NAMI, National Alliance for the Mentally Ill. One of the words we read at the end is we still have hope.
Yeah, we will never give up hope.
We will never give up hope.
We will not judge anyone's mental health condition any worse or better than ours.
And Lucy's going to Seattle, ladies, for the National Conference for NAMI.
Yeah.
When are you leaving?
June 19th to the 23rd. It's
June. Wow.
a Wednesday to a Saturday.
Awesome. You'll have fun, man. Oh, I
I'm
envy you.
anxious. I've
That's
never been
great.
that direction. So.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
I got travel tips for her. I grew up in the Seattle area.
Well, you might know some places she could
I
go
already
to.
have told her a few.
Yeah.
They got a place where you walk through this insectarium where there are butterflies.
Wow.
Of every shape and color you all can imagine.
Wow.
And then you got the waterfront. You got the orca whales out in Puget Sound. Now there's a
You got orca whales?
orca
Is that in the water or in the aquarium?
In the water. I don't like seeing them cooped up in an aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
But that takes a little more doing. You have to actually take an excursion out pretty far out to see those. But there's always something. Now, bear in mind, Seattle doesn't have summers like this.
No.
They are going to be in maybe the upper 70s. Once in a great while, they'll have a honest to goodness a heat wave, like up in the lower hundreds, but it's a dry, smoky heat. But there's also a mountain called Mount Rainier. Boy, if you all ever go to see that, it's like going right up to the base of a volcano that's got a big ice cream cone on the top of it of ice, snow, and crevasses. Pretty amazing stuff. But
Yeah.
there's local things that can be done there, and I know a couple of good restaurants of certain ethnicities, especially Asian.
Yeah.
And then they got a place where you make your own. Have you make your own pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me hungry.
And Lucy's gonna be with a friend of ours from NAMI. We won't mention the name, but she's a facilitator for NAMI, like Lucy is a facilitator for NAMI, and me and Richard are facilitators for NAMI, and our boss Denver Nobles is a facilitator for NAMI.
Yes.
And also Steve Dubois is a facilitator. He's going to be coming on the show next week.
Awesome.
Yeah. So he's going to be talking about family to family next week.
Good.
And that's about people who have relatives or friends that have mental illnesses that also meet on the first and third Sundays of the month at the Lutheran Church behind Academy.
6 to 7:30 p.m., 301 West Farrell Road, right behind Academy Sports.
And Lucy, you look pretty sharp with that dress on, man.
Thank you.
You look nice,
My new clothes for Seattle.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow.
That's great.
Perfect.
That's great.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucy. Lucy's our director. I would also like to say, besides being brilliant, she's the best director we ever had.
Absolutely.
We got a close knit team. Let me read some more about loneliness. We still got time.
1 minute.
1 minute?
Wow, time flew.
Okay, time
tonight.
flew. We never even got to what we wanted to get to. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to say again, if you're all by yourself, you don't have to be. Like they say, you're either loneliness is isolation, or you can be alone and not lonely, or you can be lonely without people. But you can be alone and not lonely. And I'm alone and not lonely most of the time, even though sometimes I get lonely. And one of the things you can do if you get lonely and there's nobody to help you anything is call upon God, call upon Jesus Christ. Like I write right here. If it wouldn't have been for Mike Fuselier, who came and helped the hurting boy, where everybody rejected him, including his dad, and treated him like dirt. And this guy led me to Jesus. Life has never been the same. And I would like to say, if you're skeptical, just ask him to show you that he's real. And most certainly he will.
Wow. Where'd the hour go?